Yo,
Hey, how's it going?
good, good. How you doing?
I think we're good. We were just kind of getting a handle on what was left from yesterday around documentation. It's so close.
It's like
Oh, okay.
it's pretty amazing. I'm very impressed and very excited. I won't lie.
Can I just ask you to
Yeah.
move over this little? Oh, this is like a pretty sick power. Have you seen the power thing he's got for his?
That's not special. That's for
I
cheap.
know, but it's nice. It's like all flat and stuff. Well, I'm the only one who's excited. It's too early for excitement.
Oh, good idea. So yeah, it's Rico's catching a train right now. Matt Zumwalt had a meeting this morning, and I are here.
Cool. Wait.
Right. One line pull request.
Matt is doing like one-line pull requests from
So,
Shell.
oh, so cool. Okay.
Michelle submitted a PR.
So you can
Okay.
see it. And then I'll link to the PR.
Please do. Aw, Michelle PR. That's so exciting. I mean, I think she has submitted stuff before on like other repos, right?
Oh no,
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 no.
not Michelle.
From
Shell.
command line. Like he's just using terminal.
Oh, from Shell. I thought you meant Michelle Murphy. I was all
Oh,
excited.
that'd be epic. Maybe in the discussion.
You can have her join. Yeah.
Wait, is this how you removed it from every,
I didn't do it.
but you searched where it was coming from?
Oh wait, let me just do it. I did that badly. I'm gonna edit it.
Submit a PR, get checkout B, remove COC, get RN. Oh my gosh. Get commit, get push origin, hub pull request F. Oh my god.
Isn't that awesome?
Have it. Messy desk. It's not that messy, Desk.
Cool.
Yeah, that's so
I'm
good.
just gonna go do that again.
He's so excited he's doing it twice. Hey, Ethan, thanks for joining. So yeah, this is a little more casual today. We were just gonna have a 30-minute max check-in. It'd be great maybe if we could kick off with a bit of an update on what Boston did last night. And I'll just add some of those like loose high-level notes into that pad that we're using. And then we can just strategize a bit about the day today. And PatCon's going to be joining us in a little bit. And it doesn't look like there's any new faces, so I'm going to skip introductions.
Good idea.
And also any questions about whether or not we're all set up. Cool. So yeah, maybe if you want to kick off with a bit of I saw a flurry of emails, so I know you got a lot done, but maybe you could tell us as well.
Sure. So there was like two parts to the thing that we did in Boston yesterday. There was the first like 2 hours. We're talking with Layla, the frontline producer, and she was really interested in what we were doing in Boston and then what you guys are doing in Toronto and New York. And she's definitely going to reach out to you guys as well, and with questions and stuff like that. For work, Ray, Jeff, and I condensed around. We had a project board, or we have a project board under Archiver Tools that has a bunch of README tasks to integrate Morph.io, and then also technical that are related to documentation. And then also some technical things like getting a run from the scraping Morph.io into Data Together, which we talked about with Matt a little bit at the end, where ahead of like Doris Duke and EPA stuff, with one of the last remaining pieces is getting the endpoint into Data Together, which I think is an API thing with Brendan. That Jeff like tagged an issue with or filed an issue into I think it was the API repository to kind of handle that. And then Ray was also working with updating our README to have links for morph.io and different scraping resources. So just figuring out the documentation with that and doing some style guide stuff that there's an issue that Matt was working on as well. So we were kind of like cleaning up and standardizing all of the README stuff. And then there was the technical bit for the endpoint to data together. And Jeff was also working on the coverage stuff with Circle CI, I think, to get our badges on the different like READMEs and testers up. So,
Cool.
and we also decided that we're going to have like a dev branch, and then when we push to master, that's when we're going to have the coverage badges. So the master is the one that gets uploaded to PyPy, and we can still do dev, but we can still do development on a branch, but that's not the one that keeps getting updated with coverage and pushed to PyPy, because previously we've just been working off the master branch. So we're sort of moving to that.
Cool.
That sounds great. Was the project board on Waffle?
No, it was under like GitHub. We had like a project like tab. I don't know if the project board is the right way to say that, but whatever it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
They
it's
have
on the Archivers Tools repo.
Yeah,
a
exactly.
project.
Okay.
Just to quickly answer your question, Evan, I'm gonna I put some time in last night to the endpoint. We should be able to get it right today.
Okay, great. Yeah, Jeff said he thought we were pretty close to like using that endpoint with a scraper like pretty much immediately when you get that endpoint done.
Yeah, it's like inches. It's some issue in deployment, but I'll get it fixed.
Okay, great.
Cool.
That's awesome. And so it sounds like you kind of left things in a good place to hand off in terms of creating issues where needed and like, having those conversations with Brendan and Matt.
Yeah, I hope so. And if you guys see anything on the issues today, please just like file. Like, I think Ray said he could follow on the Slack today. I have to work today, but if we just track it through the issues, that'd be good. So, Ray got a new job. We also learned that last night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. But now you're cutting the call off.
Mr. Hook is joining us at 6:30 in the morning. Eastern.
I'm not exactly sure it would be fair to characterize the situation as me joining you so much as being in front of a camera at this early time. It's so dark. It's still dark here, and this is not usually my time to get up. But I wanted to show up and at least show support. So anyway, hi.
So glad you could join us, even if just to sort of watch it all go by.
Well, so I guess in terms of plans for the day, if we just want to maybe re-look at the milestones quickly. I'm away from the thing to share the screen, so maybe if one of you wants to take over and we could all look at that milestone board.
Sorry, Don, I can barely hear you.
Oh.
Maybe we don't have our.
Oh.
Can you hear us now?
It's just about the same level. If you could speak a little up.
Maybe we didn't set it up correctly. Am I better now?
No.
No.
I mean, we can still hear you. It's fine. It's just really quiet.
Okay, I think we didn't, well, it says it's the webcam as the microphone, which is what I was trying to do. Maybe during the move we did something. Okay, well, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on, but I was just going to say, and now I'm over here, so I'll do it. Maybe we can just quickly look at the milestone. Just crank the input for the, can you hear us a little bit better now?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
That's much better.
Cool. So maybe we could just look at the milestone board, and I'll just take over the screen a little bit quickly and then just sort of talk through what people were planning on focusing on today. Okay, so you should just see the sprint stuff.
Yep.
I probably need to refresh this. So we are pretty close to being done and so yeah, we see the new issues that Boston created at the top last night, which is good. and some from Matt. And then we have, this was the big chunk of the documentation stuff. And we've kind of, we closed the other ones out, so we have just 2 left. Matt's sick one-line GitHub pull request open. Cut is addressing this code of conduct, so we expect to close that out shortly. And then I want to show you because there's so much red. We've closed almost all of these.
Awesome.
There's a couple ones that are lingering. And
Ooh.
you know, some of it's like trying to, there's other ongoing PR, so it's kind of doing a little bit of folding together, making sure there's no conflicts. And I think that is something that could be done in the next, like by the end of the morning, but probably that would be the first focus for maybe me, because I think Matt's moved on to other things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, well, you're doing the other, the other review. So I think from the documentation end, we're gonna kind of have a cap on it. And so the other big area was website stuff.
Yeah.
In addition to ongoing testing. So maybe, Brendan, if you want to speak a little bit to testing, that would be good. And then we can talk about the stretch goals.
Can I say more about,
Sure.
about documentation?
Okay.
Or I don't know if this is in the stretch goals, I kind of can't remember. But I think, so this is, we've jumped the whole organization up to an acceptable level. That's amazing. You know, that's like a big push that we did. And what would be cool, I think, I said this in Slack, would be to choose a couple of repositories and move them from acceptable to close to good, or at least spec out what good would look like so that we could start to move towards that. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the best candidates are for that, but I feel like web app is something that people would, you know, that is a candidate for people being interested in, and it has some technologies like React that a lot of people know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's like one, you know, audience that we could direct people, or one place that we could direct one audience to. And then for another audience, like a Go audience, we could maybe choose 1 or 2 of the places, you know, and I think there are a couple of Sentry, it seems like one. I don't know whether, you know, Patch Bay and Identity Server seem like maybe 2 more like central pieces of technology. I don't know if they need work or if they're.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So that's like one stretch goal that I'm psyched on, but then there's so many other things to do that I'm not sure it's the, you know, I'm not sure it's the only thing that we want to do.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that that's a great idea. I mean, it might be something to, in the afternoon, Brendan, maybe steal your attention for like a dedicated 30 minutes to talk through maybe just 2 of them. So it sounds like
Web app.
web app, and then maybe Sentry, or maybe one of the other.
Whatever you think is the best one,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think Sentry is by far the best candidate, particularly once we get the work thing, because that's where the works are going to go, and that's like, I think that'll be a fun piece. But yeah, totally. So we should talk about that in the afternoon. I totally agree.
I think so. I mean, in the sense that we could probably, if you're on the phone, or like if you're on the line and like a couple of us are typing, we could probably do some direct small improvements today, and then or kind of do more like that spec out style, Matt, like that you're speaking to.
Okay.
But also maybe late like just before lunch. Just depends on a couple other things. Cool. Yeah. So do you want to talk about testing, and then we'll circle back on website? Like I know Liz and Matt's on what we're doing most of the website stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. And we should probably check in with them. Matt's going to be here just after 10, so we can maybe do a website check-in. But so yeah, if you, Don, if you wouldn't mind opening issue 40, which is stub out preliminary testing stub out. Yeah, that one. So I've added a comment here. Keep going. So these are all of the repositories that currently have at least some skeletal tests. Some of them are much better than skeletal, like, and some of them are absolutely abysmal. Actually, a lot of them are absolutely abysmal. But so if you look at that, we only have 5 repositories that don't have some sort of test. And so I thought it would make sense to at least just sort of like cruise through to get some basic testing up for all of those. That at any point you can run Go test on all of those. Archiver Tools is in there. It also has tests. It's awesome. Yeah. And so I think we're in a good spot there. I absolutely think that by the end of today, it's reasonable to think that we could get at least one test up for all of these.
Amazing.
I think like a good beginner task for some of those would be, you know, we could make some issues that are like make tests for feature X in the, you know, and then that would be a way for someone to jump into the code base.
Totally agreed. And I think that, Tom and I we'll chat a bunch about that on our side because Tom's got some test improvements that he's contributed already. And also like, I don't know if you guys saw PatCon's massive PR of a Makefile that sort of like tees people up as well. So I think the like onboarding experience is gonna be really exciting because we can take that Makefile that he made and copy and paste it between a lot of the repositories. Super excited about that.
And also Suwood's Docker image, that whole conversation is so great.
Oh, it's so good. Suwood jumping in was like, I mean, he's an absolute Docker like impresario.
Did you see that Christoph also submitted a PR this morning?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he wanted some install instructions. I asked him to start the PR, and maybe you and I could look at it later.
Awesome, let's do it. Yeah. So just quickly to touch personally, it does amazing. I can't wait to review and get both Suwood and now Christoph's PRs merged in. I'm going to focus, there are a couple of issues that are assigned to me today. It's specifically like website stuff, getting the palette fixed, pulling a couple of other documentation things. So I'm going to try and conquer a few of those just because these are more, I think they're like tasks that are kind of doable and it'll move us farther on this milestone. And then maybe in the afternoon, we'll swoop back, focus on getting the endpoint working for Archiver Tools and the test completion. And documenting Sentry. And I love the idea of getting Sentry and web app as like really good entry points as places to land people.
Yeah. Just a quick question, maybe if I didn't understand. Would it make sense to wait on the website stuff until after we have the website check-in? Or is there enough to pull go ahead now? Or do you
I think there's just some basic housekeeping that I want to do that doesn't really require any conversations. Like everyone agrees that we want to switch to the other artwork. And so, and thank you for creating the artwork repo, Don. And so I'll just PR that with all of the artwork from the website in the like more Illustrator file, SVG file sense so people can steal it and use it. Not steal it, use it because it's freely given away.
Use it open license.
Yes. But yeah, so that's the big task that I saw is like, that will take out 2 issues from the milestone. And so I really want to get that in just to even get a sense of progress. And then as for actual website copy and stuff like that, to me, that's a different conversation. But
Okay, great. And then just looking at the stretch goals. So we had these ones where there was walking through the custom crawler workflow that might stay sort of out of scope for this sprint, just kind of what I'm hearing, which is totally fine. It actually seems like some of the work from yesterday that was related to the website discussion is going to touch on this like getting involved piece, and then that kind of flows more into the guidelines stretch goal about like the relationship between the website repo, the discussion repo, and how research and the technical documentation stuff will also be presented on the website. So we might, make sure we attend to that, but address that stretch goal through website work. And then I think we'll kind of play by ear some of the other first time issues about having people walk through setting up a dev environment. But I think PatCon's work is kind of setting us up there. So we'll kind of just see how reviewing those and merging them in goes and strategize like which ones to tackle.
Totally.
The reporter yesterday had a ton of questions about how people are getting involved and how people are continuing to, like how many people are continuing to be involved. Like she kept circling back to like, why did we lose all these people? So if that's something that we're looking at for the website, it might be good to keep an eye on whenever her article comes out as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds also like it'd be nice after we have that kind of conversation about website stuff today, to have one person maybe touch base with her if she had more questions. Because then we would talk about how we're thinking about that strategy going forward as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Also, while we have 2 seconds, I just want to say a big shout out, thank you to Paul Allen. It was wonderful to see your pull request.
Oh, thank you, Brendan. It's a privilege to be here, actually.
Oh, it's been great. And yeah, welcome. And I don't know if we had a chance to say hello. I just thought I'd say hello.
And we're trying to convince him we're awesome by feeding him lots of food.
You're doing such interesting work here. I come with a gift of my complete ignorance of much of what this is about. So if you want a user experience, I'm trying to keep myself uncontaminated.
That's great. We need as much of that help as we can get.
Okay, well, I'll keep myself virginal.
Do any people have kind of other things they want to check in with all of us about now, or are we kind of okay to switch to the live stream and co-working with the plan that we might have more of a conversation around website stuff mid-morning? Seeing no.
I guess I might have a question if there's anything specifically you would want me to do if I have an hour, let's say, or an hour or two to do something. Failing a specific task, I would just sort of act as a roving commentator.
I think roving comments would be really nice, especially if there's a couple more conversational pull requests or issues that are open. Those are mostly, I think, in data together right now, if I'm wrong. Sorry, if I'm not wrong. But maybe, Mike, it might be nice, we could try and, if you have time, to get you to look at some of the stuff that PatCon was doing around install and dev environment setup. I kind of would be great at that. But if you are not interested, just say.
No, I could try that.
So maybe we'll try and loop you in as a reviewer on those pull requests. And I'll ping you on Slack too.
Okay.
Does anyone else have a thought?
Oh, this is great. Super pumped.
Great.
All right, guys.
Okay, see you on the other live streaming video service we're using shortly.
Good luck today.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
bye.
checking
Thanks
in.
for checking in.
Yeah.
That was super helpful.
Yeah, so great.
So